How would you like to discover how to create a mindfulness practice? Kilkenny Tremblay will tell us how to do it. And what's so special about Kilkenny is that she's a true modern mystic, a psychic medium, podcast host, and a visionary teacher who seamlessly weaves ancient wisdom with contemporary spiritual practice. So, Kilkenny, tell us more about how can someone create a mindfulness practice and what is a mindfulness practice?
Heal Podcast with Lily Patrascu shares longevity and anti-aging techniques to stay young forever, increase energy, overcome addiction, and live your longest, best life ever. Shared by world's most innovative, alternative, and traditional health, thought leaders, healers, and doctors. Discover quantum healing strategies to heal your mind, body, and soul.
Well, mindfulness is such a buzzword these days, and it is because it's so incredibly powerful to do so. And it can seem really complex to a lot of people. So in my experience being a coach and being a psychic medium, a lot of people come and they want to live a more mindful life, meaning they want to live a life full of presence. They want to live a life where in the present moment is where they are dwelling. So much of the time, folks are living in the past and lamenting or feeling sad or having regrets, or they were happy and they're in the past because they're not happy now, or they are living in the future and anticipation and anxiety, right? But most people suffering is from either being the past or being in the future, but not in the present moment. And so that's what mindfulness essentially is. It's practices and ways of living. There are very specific tools and technologies one can use to establish themselves and practice, because it takes practice. It's like a muscle, going to a gym, more and more mindfulness, which lands us in the present moment and which then yields us more joy, more connection, more peace, more power than we even really know we could have access to.
Wow, that is so interesting. So tell us more about how someone can create a mindfulness practice.
Well, one of the things that someone can do is use the technology of your breath, because the breath is never further than the next breath away, and we have to breathe to be alive. So it can seem very simple, yet it is so profound, and it's a tool that's free. We all have it. And so if literally you're in a conversation and you're suffering, you can think about your breath and literally say, I am here, inhale, here I am, exhale. That's one tool and technique. Or if your personality, because we all have different personalities and dispositions. So there's certain techniques and tools that will work for one person that might not work for another. And so a lot of people I have in my readings will come to me and they say, well, that didn't work. Okay, something like I just gave an example. So for that person, their personality, you could try to say, inhale and count backwards from 4. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that for them helps steady and still their mind more and root them in the present moment and get them out of more of an anxiety pattern. So that's another one. A third one could be, let me feel my feet into the earth. Inhale, I root. Exhale, I ground. And you feel into your legs, your feet, your lower body. And there are all sorts of studies that prove these things help regulate your nervous system, because so much about mindfulness is remembering, practicing how to regulate our nervous systems. And I like to use the word find resilience in our nervous systems, find residence in our nervous systems, particularly as women. I feel like there's a trope, so to speak, like hysterical women. Oh my God, women are so emotional, right? All these things. And the truth is, these things are empowerments, whether you identify as any gender, whatever your disposition is. You can really come to terms with, oh, okay, my emotions aren't bad. There's nothing wrong with my emotions. And so a fourth thing I can do is, if I feel really, really angry and I feel like I am the anger, if I feel really, really depressed, we feel like often we are the depression. So we can practice inhale, I feel depressed. Exhale, I am here. Inhale, I feel angry. Exhale, I am here. You know, we have all these MP3 tapes, aka our thoughts, that run in our mind. But when we learn, and this is the practice of mindfulness, we can root or extract or edit out certain MP3s that we play all the time. Scientists have proven now that, most people have 97 to 98% of the same thoughts all of the time. Okay. So if we can even get that number down to like 93%, imagine what life could be, 85%. And that process is the recognizing, oh, I'm having this thought, but I am not the thought. I am not the thought, because if you can see I am having this thought, that means you're not one with it. And so that's mindfulness. We practice, oh, let me edit the MP3 that I just said. I'm so mad. I'm so mad. I hate this person. This person did that to me, right? The victim mentality, whatever it is. This might happen to me, the anxiety mentality. And we say, okay, I am feeling anxious, and do that practice I mentioned with our breath. It's all about coordinating things with our breath and using the breath as the baseline technology, extracting certain thoughts out of our mind, placing different thoughts, aka new MP3s, in, and then we start to feel the quality of our mind shift, the quality of our life shift. And all these techniques I just offered, there are 4 of them, so people can rewind and listen. Try one. Don't overwhelm yourself. Just try one, see if it works. If not, try another. And when we start to do this, we build an arsenal of tools and technologies. So when life feels challenging, we can rely on them and have a mindfulness practice to bring us more back to center, which is more really fully who we are, our peace, our power, which lives in the present moment.
Thank you. Can I ask you, for someone who, let's say, has been struggling for many years with negative thoughts in terms of, let's say, anger, resentment, I don't know, limiting beliefs, and so many different things, does this technique have like an instant result where you start to feel better immediately, or does it take a lot of time to start to see like an improvement?
Fascinating question. You can liken it to going to a gym. You wouldn't go to the gym and expect to have huge muscles one time, right? However, if you have never exercised in 10 years and you go to a gym and you exercise for 20 minutes, you will feel a little pump. You will feel a shift in your psychology. You will have what I like to call a moment of existential relief. Right? So you will feel some kind of shift. And then very normally you'll go, not do the practice, meaning you go back to your regular life, right? And you might revert back to old patterns, right? You're not like a bodybuilder in one day going to a gym. However, you will feel some hint of relief. And if you commit to the practice, 3 to 5 days for sure, a few times a day. Put a reminder in your phone to do it, right? Because we're human. We all forget. That's what it is to be human. You do it 3 to 5 times a day for 3 to 5 days, 1 week, you will feel completely a shift. You will start to crave, because it's relief, and we all crave relief. And that's why we live in this society where so many people check out, right? We scroll through their phones, we eat too much sugar, whatever it is, fill in the blank. These are things that anesthetize and numb ourselves. Understandably, when I think about that, with such compassion, because to be human is to be really, really, really on a hard path. It's really difficult. It's life, ass kicking to be human at times. And so when we do these practices, you'll get a hint of relief. If you commit to them for 3 to 5 days, for a full week would be ideal. Go to a gym 3 times in a week. After a week, you'll notice a difference. Same thing with these practices. You'll feel different. You'll start to get a feeling of relief. Then you continually commit. Again, it doesn't have to be inordinate amounts of time every day. We're talking a little bit here, a little bit there, put in some reps, and after a month, your quality of life will change. You will feel different. After a few months, you'll be like, I am a different person. Like, I literally am fundamentally like the same person. Sure, on the inside, I don't change my name and my career necessarily. You might. Yet my experience of my life is different when you utilize these practices.
Thank you. I remember many years ago, I had this person who scammed me. And I remember that I think for 6 to 8 months, I was like so angry. I had this, I was feeling not just resentful and angry and sad and disappointed, but I could feel like almost like this acid in my throat, like I was like so angry. And what was really interesting about it was that I was doing walks in the park, I was exercising, I was going dancing, I was like trying to forgive and forget, but I just couldn't. Is there any other technique that utilizes mindfulness that could help someone like that who has like this really, horrible experience and they want to let it go? Is there any other, aside from what you mentioned already?
For sure. Meditation. Meditation is 1,000% the way to take out what I like to call the emotional garbage. And I'm not saying anger is garbage because anger is sacred, right? Our hard feelings are actually, in my opinion, sacred. I've been a yoga teacher and a yoga practitioner since I was 5, frankly, yoga teacher in my whole adult life. And the yoga tradition, which is Tantra, I come through, talk about, oh, our emotions are not something to bypass. We want to feel those emotions, and they tell us things and they lead us towards more freedom and expansion. But what you're asking, which is a brilliant question, like how do I move through that, right? So metabolizing anger is great. Those activities to help us move anger through our bodies, like you mentioned, physical exercise is huge for a lot of people. Some people it'll be less physical though. Some people it could be a little more quiet. It might be talking to a therapist, right? It might be just getting quiet and having support, being guided through that experience and then picturing a different outcome. So part of what I do in my psychic medium readings is I download from people's spirit teams when they're stuck, what would help them move through that intense experience. And I get information and come up with a very clear RX, if you will, what will help that person. Because a lot of people do come to me stuck with certain emotions. However, meditation is the absolute number one, in my experience, overarching thing that you can do when one feels stuck. A ritual is another thing. So in my readings, I'll talk about, okay, do this ritual, and I'll get very detailed information from your spirit team. Okay, XYZ. And create like a 5 to 10 minute situation that has to do with your psyche, that has to do with your psychology, that has to do with your spirit, meeting your body in this plane to help free yourself of the situation karmically. Meditation is another free thing you can do that helps take and metabolize all the harder feelings, so to speak. So committing to a 1 to 3 minute meditation practice a day, what you're doing is you're cultivating your relationship with your highest self, your deepest self, your widest self, capital S. And when we connect to that, it takes out the rest of our limited selves, which have to do with things that keep us contracted. So it takes out the garbage, so to speak, is what I say. So like the emotions that we are that we feel that are sacred, but eventually if we don't release them, they start to burn us, right? So if we're angry and we hold on to resentment for long periods of time and don't figure out how to release them, then they actually to affect us, not the person who wronged you, even though the person who wronged you probably very much wronged you and has their own karma to deal with because of that, for sure. Now, however, sitting 1 to 3 minutes is what I always recommend starting. Committing to that, it seems so short, it seems so simple, like, oh, that couldn't really do it. But what you're doing is you're connecting to the deepest part of yourself and you're allowing the emotions, so to speak, that are hurting you now to be taken out with the trash, to be incinerated. And so if you start to commit and even build like 3 to 5 minutes is the ideal time, in my opinion. If you committed 3 to 5 minutes for 30 days to a meditation practice, you would be able to release any feeling for sure.
Thank you. For people who don't like meditation, what would you recommend instead to create a mindfulness practice or routine that could serve them in order to let go of negative emotions and limiting beliefs?
Well, this is the thing. A lot of people have tried one meditation, a second meditation, and they don't like it, so to speak. And that's because of what I mentioned. Everyone has a different disposition and everyone has something different that works for them. So the breath practices I shared with you as technologies, I gave 4 because you could have 4 people listening and have very different dispositions, and each one of those would work for each different person, right? So just like a dating app, right? There's a specific person that you're going to be attracted to, that you're going to swipe left or right for. Same thing with meditation. So what I would recommend is don't say, oh, I don't like meditation. Meditation literally simply means one pointed focus. That's all it means. It means focusing on only one thing. Okay. So there are all these free apps. There's Insight Timer. I'm not sponsored by any of these. You can Google them. There's so much free meditation on my website. I have a couple free meditations. So you can go and explore. Think of it like dating, and don't think of it like a drag. Like, oh, this is something I need to go do. You know, like that's the typical thing. Like it's one more thing I have to add to my list. No, go find one that's fun. There are thousands, there are millions of them. And meditation is a relationship with yourself, your highest self, your most powerful self, your most rocking self, your self that can create the most health, the most money, the most exciting love life and sex life. So if you reorient to meditation as, oh, this is a date with myself to create my highest timeline, my most exciting, passionate life. Let me find a guided meditation that makes me feel the excitement, that makes me feel some of those feelings. Or maybe for you, it's soothing and calming, and that lights you up. So date tons of meditations until you find one you like. And if you listen to enough meditations, like I have, coached literally hundreds of people, thousands of readings, you will find one if you commit to that you like. You will, because there's music meditations, there's walking meditations where you can put on your headphones and listen to someone speaking, music, birds, ocean, there's so many different types. So there is one for you out there. Just don't stop until you find the one and then commit to it for a month.
Tell us about awakening your chakras or aligning your chakras. What does it take to do that? And can someone do it with a mindfulness practice? And if they can do it with a mindfulness practice, what desired outcome can be achieved through aligning your chakras so that you can be in I don't know, potentially higher balance?
So chakras are energy centers, and they sound really esoteric and out there, but think about it. You have the parts of you that are visible, right? Your body, the way you interact in this world, the material world. And then you have the parts of you that are invisible. Your feelings, your psyche, your spirit, your soul, so to speak. Okay. So chakras literally live, they're these energy centers. They're invisible, but they live at the intersectionality between the parts of you that are visible and the parts of you that are invisible. That's what they are. They're literally at the bridge. They're like the bridges between them. So an example of a chakra, like when you've experienced a chakra, is when you've had butterflies in your stomach. We've all experienced that, right? Or when we have tightness in our throat because we feel anxious. That's a physical experience of the chakras that live at this intersectionality. And so we all have them. We all, to answer your question, have the possibility to balance, harmonize, and open them. And so a lot of the time, it's really not about necessarily cranking them open. They're open. They're a part of you. They're called your subtle body architecture. What it is finding balance with them. So if you think of each chakra, there's 7 of them, starting from the base of your spine, and they stack on top vertically, 7 of them up to the crown of the head. We're trying to access their power, aka like people say, opening them. But they're really already open, but sometimes they get blocked. And so each chakra is associated like a room in a house with a certain set of activities that get processed there. So like in your kitchen, in your home, right? What do? Do you cook? Yeah, like you cook. In the bathroom, you take a shower, right? These are the things. Well, it's the same things with a chakra. So like our root chakra has to do with survival, has to do with grounding, has to do with our self-worth, what we're worth in this world, and that we feel like we're worthy. So there are these different topics in life that get processed in that room of the chakra. Our heart chakra has to do with who we love, how we express love, how we show love, harmony, balance. So there are these different things. Our third chakra it's right above the belly, and has to do with our seat of power, our feeling powerful or feeling powerless. So the way that we know what's happening with a chakra, aka like opening one, or how I like to say rebalancing one, is okay, how do I feel with these different themes? Okay, so if I feel, to go back to my examples, anxious, not really feeling like I have value in a relationship with my partner, or I don't really have value in this world to make money, then I would work on balancing, recalibrating my first root chakra. If I felt really cold, shut down, contracted from a trauma in an emotional realm, not able to articulate my feelings, then I would work on my heart chakra. That's your fourth chakra. It's called Anahata chakra. and the yoga and Buddhist traditions. And I would work on doing things that were supportive to that chakra. If I didn't feel powerful, if I didn't feel like I was sovereign over my life, if felt like I was taking advantage of, then I would work on things to develop my third chakra. I have my own podcast. It's called Modern Mystic. And I actually have 8 episodes on each chakra. I have like an overview episode, which is the first one. And then I have 1 episode per chakra. And there's copious pounds of information in there that you could listen to find out how to balance with these. I go into a lot of detail. You could have a deficiency in that chakra. You could have an excess. So some people, like if they're really bossy and they're loud and they're kind of obnoxious, they would have an excess in their third chakra, that seat of power chakra. So yeah, you can go to my podcast, Modern Mystic, and learn about the different chakras. That they're episodes 16 through 28.
Thank you. Tell us how entrepreneurs can connect with you.
You can go to my website, modernmysticlove.com. modernmystic.love. So just go to modernmystic.love. All the information on my podcast is there. I also have a free, beautiful build your own intuition toolkit. So that would be modernmystic.love/intuition. A lot of people love that. I get DMs and emails all the time about that, which are very clear ways to help build your intuition and develop your intuitive sense.
Follow me for more interviews with world's most innovative health change makers to live your healthiest life ever.